There are moments in life when you know deep within that you are standing on the edge of something greater. You cannot always explain it, but you feel the shift, an invisible stirring in the atmosphere that whispers, your time is near. For years you may have walked through deserts of disappointment, endured nights of silence, and carried questions that no one around you could answer. Yet, in all those hidden battles, something sacred was happening. You were being shaped. Every challenge, every rejection, every lonely hour was not a sign of defeat, but the foundation of a story that is now unfolding before your eyes. This message is not for everyone. It is for those who know what it means to be pressed and stretched, for those who have carried weights that others could not bear, for those who refused to surrender when life tried to break them. If that resonates with you, then you are the reason these words exist. Because what is about to be revealed is not just encouragement, it is confirmation. The tests you endured were not wasted. The pain you carried was not meaningless. It was all preparation for the blessing that is now being released into your life. This is not a blessing in small portions or half measures. It is not the kind that merely eases pressure for a moment. This is a divine outpouring, a release that overflows into every corner of your existence. It is the type of blessing that redefines how you see yourself and how the world sees you. Imagine a river bursting through dry land, filling valleys that once echoed with emptiness. That is the magnitude of what is approaching. You are not stepping into a season of scraps. You are stepping into abundance that has been reserved with your name on it. But make no mistake. This is not only about financial increase or material gain. The blessing you are entering is multi-layered. It is designed to give you resources, yes, but also influence, vision, clarity, and strength. It is about more than comfort. It is about purpose. You will not only be lifted, but you will also become the lifter. What flows to you is meant to flow through you. The wealth, opportunities, and favor coming your way are not trophies to display. They are tools to build, restore, and transform. And this is why you had to go through the process. To handle extraordinary blessing, you had to be refined by extraordinary tests. Every hidden trial was building your capacity. Every delay was strengthening your patience. Every loss was expanding your compassion. You were not simply surviving hardship, you were being prepared to steward abundance. Now, the preparation has reached its completion, and the blessing is ready to break forth. This journey we are about to take together will walk you through the reality of what is unfolding. We will explore why your struggles were never wasted, how the release of blessing is designed to manifest, the true purpose behind wealth, the biblical evidence that confirms this truth, the transformation of identity that abundance brings, and the steps of faith you must take to align yourself with this season. Each part will open your eyes to a new layer of what is being released into your life right now. So lean in, open your heart. This is not coincidence. You are led here because the words you are about to receive carry the power to ignite something already written in your destiny. This is your moment, and it begins now. 1. Past struggles as hidden tests. Think back to the nights when the weight of life pressed so heavily on your shoulders that you wondered if you would even make it to see the morning. Think about the rejections that cut deep, the opportunities that slipped away, the people who turned their backs when you needed them the most. You may not have realized it at the time, but those moments were not signs of abandonment. They were tests. They were refinements. Hidden trials shaping you into someone stronger, sharper, and more resilient than you ever imagined. There were days, eyes, when you were carrying burdens that others would have collapsed under, yet you kept walking. Even if it was slow, even if it was shaky, you kept moving forward. Each disappointment, each door that shut in your face, became a classroom where your character was being developed. What looked like rejection was often redirection. What felt like delay was actually preparation. What seemed like loss was planting the seeds of something greater that could only sprout in the soil of endurance. It's easy to underestimate the power of these hidden tests because they rarely come with applause. No one cheers when you're sitting in silence trying to hold yourself together. No one gives you a medal when you choose integrity over shortcuts or when you remain kind to people who mistreated you. But heaven noticed. Every single decision to stay true to yourself, every time you resisted the temptation to give up, every moment you chose to believe there was still meaning in your struggle, it was recorded. You were being proven in the fire. The truth is, storms reveal what comfort hides. When everything is easy, you don't always see the depth of your own resilience. But in the heat of the battle, in the crushing weight of pressure, you discover a strength inside of you that you didn't even know existed. These tests have been shaping you into the kind of person who can handle what is coming. Without them, the blessing waiting ahead would have been too heavy to carry. The struggle you endured was not punishment. It was training. Think of the potter shaping clay. Before the vessel can be filled, it must be stretched, pressed, and molded. The clay doesn't understand the pressure of the hands working it, but the potter has a vision for what it will become. That was your life. Every hardship, every disappointment, every lonely moment was God's hand shaping you, making sure you would be strong enough to hold the abundance He intends to pour into you. Without the process, the vessel would crack under the weight. With it, you are able to stand firm. And here's the beauty of it. Those tests that felt so unbearable weren't just building your resilience. They were also sharpening your sensitivity. You learned compassion because you knew what it meant to hurt. You gained discernment because you understood what it was like to be misled. You developed patience because you had no other choice but to wait. None of it was wasted. Every single painful step has been preparing you for the season you're about to walk into. When you look back, you'll realize the nights of crying weren't random. The betrayals weren't meaningless. The doors that shut weren't failures. They were training grounds. You were being trusted with difficulty so that you could later be entrusted with abundance. Each hidden test was a sign that something far greater was waiting on the other side. And you passed. 2. The release of divine blessing. There comes a point when the season of waiting breaks open, and what once felt like endless struggle shifts into overflow. It is that moment when the weight of your prayers begins to manifest in reality, when the years of being faithful through dryness give way to a downpour of abundance. What you have carried in silence, your endurance, your hope, your quiet belief that something greater was ahead, has been noticed. And now, the release begins. This blessing is not ordinary. It doesn't come in small pieces or partial answers. It comes like a river breaking through a dam, flooding every dry place in your life. Where you once saw lack, new opportunities will appear. Where you once felt invisible, doors will open that were locked for years. The very things that seemed unreachable are suddenly within your grasp. Not because of chance or luck, but because heaven has declared that your season has shifted. The release of divine blessing is not only about financial increase, though it will often include provision. It is about alignment. The right people begin to cross your path at the right time. Ideas come that carry solutions. Work that once drained you becomes infused with new energy. Favor attaches itself to you in ways that cannot be explained by human effort alone. What looked impossible yesterday becomes natural today. It is as though the atmosphere itself bends in your favor. Scarcity was never meant to be your permanent condition. It was a temporary training ground, teaching you the value of gratitude and stewardship. But the blessing that is unfolding now is designed to lift you out of survival mode and place you in a position of overflow. You are not meant to constantly scrape by. You are called to live with the resources that free you to fulfill your higher purpose. This shift is more than comfort. It is empowerment. When divine blessing is released, it changes how you walk through the world. You are no longer begging for a seat at the table. You are building the table. You are no longer watching others receive while wondering if your turn will come. It has arrived. And the beauty of this blessing is that it carries speed. What once crawled forward suddenly accelerates. Plans that felt stuck begin to move rapidly. Opportunities multiply faster than you can count them. The blessing doesn't just drip, it pours. This release is also evidence that your endurance has been validated. You did not collapse in your waiting season. You did not compromise when it would have been easy to do so. You held on to integrity when no one was watching. That's why this blessing carries more than material value. It carries honor. It is God's way of saying, I saw every moment and I trust you with more. The reward matches the weight of the tests you endured, but do not mistake this blessing for an endpoint. It is not the finish line. It is the doorway to new purpose. The abundance flowing your way is not meant to sit idle. It is designed to fuel expansion. Think of it as a release of resources to empower your vision. It is meant to give you room to build, to create, to influence, and to lift others. This is why the blessing comes with such force. It is not small because your calling is not small. The release of divine blessing is already in motion. Even now, circumstances are aligning, hearts are being moved, and opportunities are being positioned. It may not look dramatic at first. You might notice a small shift, a single door opening, a chance meeting, but each one is a sign that the flow has begun. And once it starts, it does not stop. The river keeps rising, filling every corner of your life with what was promised long ago. 3. Wealth with purpose. Wealth, by itself, is empty if it has no direction. Money without meaning becomes noise, like coins clanging in a jar with no melody. But when wealth is placed in the hands of someone with vision, integrity, and compassion, it transforms into something holy. It becomes more than numbers in an account. It becomes fuel for purpose. That is the blessing you are stepping into. Not random increase, not excess for vanity, but provision with a mission. Wealth with purpose is designed to multiply impact. Imagine the schools that will rise because of your resources, the families that will eat because you had more than enough to give, the communities that will heal because your abundance created opportunity. This kind of wealth does not isolate you, it positions you as a bridge. You become the person who connects need with supply, despair with hope, limitation with possibility. You are not chosen to hoard, you are chosen to distribute. This is why your journey had to be so intense. If you had received abundance too early, you might have spent it on empty pursuits. You might have misunderstood its role, but because you endured the season of lack, you now understand the weight of responsibility. You know what it feels like to need help and not find it. You know the pain of not having enough. That memory keeps you humble. It ensures that when wealth comes, it does not corrupt you, it refines you. Think of wealth like a tool. A hammer can either build a house or break a wall. The difference is in whose hands it rests. In your hands, this blessing is meant to build, restore, and lift. It is meant to create new realities for others who cannot yet see a way forward. Wealth is not a trophy you display, it is a tool you wield. And every tool in your hand will carry divine assignment. Purpose-driven wealth also redefines success. No longer is success measured by what you own, but by what you empower. The true mark of abundance is not how comfortable you are, but how many lives are better because you were blessed. Each dollar becomes a seed. Every seed, when planted with intention, grows into fruit that outlives you. This is how legacies are built, not by storing up for yourself, but by releasing streams of life into the world around you. There will be voices that try to convince you wealth is selfish, that money is evil, that wanting abundance is wrong. But those who read the scriptures with wisdom know that the problem was never money, it was misuse. When Solomon asked for wisdom, God didn't just give him understanding. He poured wealth and honor into his life because God knew Solomon would use it well. The same principle stands for you. Wealth with purpose carries divine approval because it reflects divine character, generosity, expansion, creation. This blessing also gives you authority. With resources, you no longer have to plead for permission to act on your vision. You can move with freedom. You can start the business, fund the project, send the child to school, build the community center without waiting on others to validate your dream. Wealth with purpose gives you agency. It puts power in your hands to turn vision into reality, and every step you take echoes into generations. Do not downplay what is being entrusted to you. The scale of this blessing is not accidental. It matches the scale of the work you are called to do. Small dreams do not require abundance, but divine dreams do, and your wealth is not meant to end with you. It is meant to flow through you. Every act of generosity, every investment in others, every structure you build with this blessing will outlive you. That is the true reward, knowing that your increase became someone else's breakthrough. 4. Biblical proof and examples. When we talk about divine blessing and breakthrough, it is not just a motivational idea, it is a truth anchored in Scripture. Time and again, the Bible gives us proof that God takes ordinary lives, often broken and overlooked, and pours extraordinary favor upon them. These stories are not distant tales of the past. They are patterns, reminders of how God works, and signs of what He is capable of doing in your life today. Think of Joseph. Betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and locked in prison, his life looked like a string of defeats. Yet each low point was a step in a divine plan. What looked like tragedy was positioning. The prison was not the end, it was the path to the palace. In one moment, Joseph shifted from prisoner to ruler, entrusted with the resources of an entire nation. His story proves that no amount of rejection or betrayal can block the blessing God has already written over your life. Consider Esther. She was an orphan, living far from privilege, with no reason to believe she could influence history. Yet God placed her in a position of favor, elevating her to queen. And it wasn't just for her comfort, it was to save her people from destruction. Esther's rise shows us that blessing is never random. It is precise, purposeful, and always connected to a greater mission. Your increase will not only shift your life, but also the lives of those connected to you. Look at Solomon. When he was given the opportunity to ask for anything, he didn't request wealth, victory, or long life. He asked for wisdom. And because his heart was aligned with God's, the blessing poured out in abundance. Solomon received wisdom beyond measure, but with it came riches and honor that surpassed any king of his time. This is a reminder that when your motives are pure, God entrusts you with more than you even ask for. Blessing follows alignment. And don't forget David, the shepherd boy no one believed in, overlooked by his own family when Samuel came to anoint the next king. Yet God saw his heart. From the pasture to the throne, David's journey reveals that it is not background or appearance that qualifies you for blessing. It is faithfulness in the small things. His story declares that God often chooses the unlikely to carry the greatest responsibilities. Even Abraham is a model of divine blessing. He left everything familiar, following a promise he could not yet see. Because of his obedience, he became the father of nations, with descendants as numerous as the stars. His story shows us that blessing is tied to trust. When you step out in faith, even when the road is uncertain, God multiplies beyond what you imagined. These are not isolated miracles. They are patterns that reveal the nature of God. To take what is broken and restore it, to take what is small and expand it, to take what is hidden and place it on a hill for all to see. The same God who elevated Joseph, Esther, Solomon, David, and Abraham has not changed. His promises remain alive today. So when you hear about a season of blessing being released into your life, you can be confident it is not wishful thinking. It is the continuation of a story God has been writing for generations. If He did it for them, He can do it for you. Their lives stand as evidence that divine blessing is real, purposeful, and unstoppable. 5. Identity transformation. There is a shift that happens when blessing enters your life, and it is deeper than finances or opportunity. It is a transformation of identity. The version of you that fought through sleepless nights, that carried burdens in silence, that questioned your worth, cannot remain the same once abundance arrives. Wealth with purpose does not only change your environment, it reshapes how you see yourself. You are not just a survivor anymore. Survivors live from one challenge to the next, always bracing for the next storm, but your story is shifting from survival to leadership. You are being elevated into a position where your scars are not signs of weakness, but proof of your strength. The very pain that once made you question yourself is now the evidence that you are qualified to guide others. This is what divine blessing does. It redefines you from the inside out. Think about the caterpillar. For a time, it crawls low to the ground, confined and unseen. But when transformation comes, it breaks free into something it was always destined to be: a butterfly. The same creature, yet completely different in identity, with wings to go where it could never crawl. That is the kind of change that comes with divine increase. You are not becoming someone new. You are becoming the truest version of who you were created to be. This transformation also shifts how the world sees you. People who once doubted you, dismissed you, or underestimated you will no longer be able to deny what God has placed on your life. Blessing has a way of amplifying your presence, giving your voice reach, and making your impact undeniable. The same people who whispered that you would never make it will have to watch you step into rooms they never believed you could enter. Your identity becomes evidence of divine favor. But here's what's important. Identity transformation is not about pride. It is not about proving anyone wrong. It is about standing fully in who God says you are. You no longer have to shrink to fit into small spaces. You no longer have to silence your vision to make others comfortable. The blessing empowers you to walk boldly, not arrogantly, because you know that the elevation did not come from your own strength. It came from grace. This change also awakens responsibility. When you step into a new identity, you begin to see your influence differently. You realize that your words carry weight, your choices ripple outward, your presence shifts atmospheres. You can no longer view yourself as just trying to make it. You are a builder, a leader, a vessel. This awareness does not make life easier, it makes it purposeful. You are entrusted with more because you have become more. Identity transformation also heals the past. Those moments when you felt invisible, unworthy, or forgotten are rewritten by the blessing that rests on you now. You begin to see that you were never overlooked. You were being prepared. You were never small. You were growing in silence until the right moment. The lies you once believed about yourself dissolve in the light of abundance. The blessing doesn't just change your bank account, it restores your confidence, your sense of calling, your belief in who you are. In this new identity, you don't walk as a beggar of opportunities, you walk as a carrier of them. You don't live as someone waiting for approval. You live as someone who has already been chosen. You don't shrink into the shadows. You step into the light unapologetically, knowing that your life is a testimony of divine power. The transformation is not about being unrecognizable. It's about finally being seen as who you truly are. 6. Alignment and action. Faith steps. Blessing may be promised, but it is alignment that determines whether you can receive it. Divine increase is not accidental. It responds to faith, obedience, and preparation. This final shift in your journey requires more than waiting. It requires stepping into action with confidence that the blessing is already moving toward you. Alignment begins with posture. It is choosing to believe even when circumstances look unchanged. Faith is not passive. It is active trust. It is speaking life over your situation, carrying yourself as though the breakthrough has already arrived, and positioning your heart to receive without fear or hesitation. When you align your thoughts, your words, and your actions with what God has spoken, you create an atmosphere where blessing has no resistance. But alignment is not only internal, it is practical. It is preparing space for what you have prayed for. If you believe abundance is coming, You start clearing the clutter of scarcity thinking. You begin to make plans, to write visions, to take small steps that prove your expectation. Faith without action is incomplete. It is not enough to hope. You must also move as though the blessing is already on its way. Preparation is a form of faith. Action also means stewardship. What you do with little is a test of what you will do with much. When you handle small resources with care, integrity, and vision, you prove that you are ready for increase. This is why the blessing is not dropped all at once without warning. It flows, it grows, and it expands as you demonstrate responsibility. The way you align yourself now determines the speed and scale of what unfolds. Part of alignment is also releasing what no longer serves you. Old fears, toxic environments, limiting beliefs, they cannot travel with you into the season of overflow. Faith steps often feel like letting go. Letting go of the need for control, letting go of old versions of yourself, letting go of voices that kept you small. As you release, you make room for greater. The blessing can't fully arrive where the space is still occupied by doubt. Faith steps are not always dramatic. Sometimes it is as simple as writing down your vision every morning. Sometimes it is giving generously even when you don't feel you have much. Sometimes it is choosing discipline over comfort or integrity over shortcuts. Every step, no matter how small, sends a signal to heaven that you are ready for more. Alignment is built one choice at a time. And remember, alignment amplifies momentum. The more you act in faith, the more doors begin to open. The more you step forward, the clearer the path becomes. It is not about having every detail figured out. It is about moving with trust, knowing that the blessing is unfolding as you go. Faith is not waiting for perfect conditions. It is moving in expectation that God has already gone before you. This is the season to declare readiness not only with words, but with action, to align your vision, your habits, your relationships, your mindset with abundance. To live as though you already carry the blessing, because in truth, it has already begun. Every step you take in faith draws the promise closer until it surrounds you completely. You have walked through the fire, and you did not come out empty-handed. You came out refined, ready, and positioned for a blessing unlike anything you have seen before. Every struggle was a lesson, every delay was training, and every rejection was redirection. Now you stand at the threshold of abundance, not by accident, not by chance, but by divine appointment. This blessing is not ordinary. It will not only lift you, but transform the lives connected to you. It is wealth with purpose, influence with mission, increase with responsibility. And because you endured, because you believed even when you had every reason to give up, heaven has placed more in your hands. You are stepping into a season where overflow becomes your new normal. But remember, this moment is not an ending. It is the opening of a new chapter. The identity you carry now is no longer that of a survivor struggling to hold on. It is the identity of a leader, a builder, a vessel of divine provision. What you have waited for is not just about you. It is about the generations that will feel the ripple of your faith and your actions. The blessing is bigger than your comfort. It is about creation, restoration, and legacy. So walk boldly. Stand tall in the knowledge that you have been chosen for this. Let every step you take from this day forward align with the abundance that is already flowing toward you. Speak it, act on it, and prepare for it. Do not shrink, do not hesitate, and do not doubt, because the blessing is not coming, it is here. Your story is no longer defined by lack or limitation. It is defined by resilience, transformation, and divine favor. And the world will soon see what heaven has always known, that you are prepared, positioned, and trusted to carry this blessing well. This is your season. This is your moment. Step into it fully and let abundance rewrite everything.